Hey guys, Straight Up John coming at you with another Diablo Immortal video. This is going to be a fun one. I do want to go ahead and I want to talk about a tier list, air quotes, on what is going to be the best family items to get for your Reforged stones, or what is the best, we'll call them set traits on each individual piece of legendary gear to get. So that way you are kind of maximizing the amount of damage you can do. This is going to vary depending on what build you are playing. So keep that in mind that I am a demon hunter, and this is going to be a little different for some other classes, but I will explain to you while I'm going through this what the difference is and which class this is going to help you the most. Hopefully this helps you when you're going to go ahead and you're going to spend those Reforged stones on what you should get. And also I get to actually set one, which is going to be huge. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about a, you know what? We're gonna call it a tier list for what items do you wanna get on your Reforged bonuses. And the best part about this is the fact that I have set it up to where I can actually have a bonus that we roll for in the video. So which is awesome. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So we talked and we made a video, and actually a lot of you agreed with me, which I was glad to see, because I hate to see people waste resources. Unfortunately, yes, I know a lot of people make comments on my videos that I'm not free to play anymore because I spent thousands of dollars and then now I'm not spending. I do understand that, but let's put it from my perspective of I am now progressing forward without spending any money, which yes is free to play. But for those who maybe they don't, like, you got to think of this in a term, in a way that like kind of resonates with other people. When they hear like, oh, you're not spending anymore, or they're hearing just free to play. Like, people play games to escape, right? A lot of people play games and they don't want something that's so in depth that it makes them think. Let's be honest. This is an ARPG game. This takes no skill. So I'm going to use terms like, hey, I'm free to play now, versus, oh, I'm not spending, right? So try not to get triggered by this. And I understand some of you who will. And trust me, I do understand where you're coming from. But from my perspective of what I see with my viewers, what I see in general in the populace, and why people play these types of games, it's the easiest way to sum things up as quickly as possible instead of going into these big in-depth conversations about what I'm trying to do. So first things first, let's go ahead and let's talk about family bonuses. We made a video on it the other day. It was perceived pretty good. I have one family bonus. This is a wildfire set. I've only seen wildfire set proc one time, and that was actually yesterday, which is funny. I just awakened my helm here, so now it's time to realize, like, oh, I could do a family bonus here, or I can start rolling because I already have primary attack. I already have attack speed. So now is the time where we talk about tier list. Okay, what is the top tier list for attributes wanted to be added to your legendary pieces of gear? Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. And that way you know what you're actually going for and what's going to be viable for your particular build and your particular character. Okay, so first things first, when we talk about Reforged stones, Vengeance set is going to be the best in stat, like best overall for a demon hunter. Now, with that being said, we come down here, you see Vengeance. Okay, your primary attacks have a 2% chance to increase all damage you deal by 100% for 1 second. That's literally like a double damage, right? That's massive. Now let's talk about this. Is this something that's worth it for a demon hunter to get for a family bonus? Absolutely not. It's not. You get attack speed increase by up to 2%. 2% attack speed is massive. If you need to know the numbers for what this gives you, leave a comment down below. If I get enough comments stating I don't understand the math that's going to go into all this, let me know. I will do the math. I will make another video and we'll cover it and we'll add it to the website, because I want people to understand this. I've already internally done the math for this, and nothing in this particular family set stands out enough to make the most sense to run Vengeance set. But attack speed increased by 2%. This is huge. This is extremely massive for a Demon Hunter, for a Crusader. I would even argue as much to go with a Necro. Those three particular characters, I think this is huge for. This may be better for other ones, but from what I know, talking to other content creators and other players, those 3 character types with attack speed increase is massive. Now, yes, I see damage to players increased by up to 1.5%. This is really good if you are a PvP driven person. But let's be honest, unless you are a whale who is 6k plus positive resonance, no one cares. This is moot. Demons increased, moot. Suffering loss of control, moot. Damage to shielded enemies increased by 6%, moot. Every single one of these, in my personal opinion, is trash. So when we talk about tier list, right, as far as what you're going to be going for family set bonuses, on the Vengeance set, attack speed increase by up to 2% is amazing. To me personally, that's the most beneficial to a Demon Hunter all around. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the other ones. So for example, let's scroll up to the Wildfire set. That's going to be one of the most popular sets. So for me as a Demon Hunter, number 1 is attack speed. Number 2 is going to be the Wildfire set, and that's going to be all skill damage increased by up to 2%. This can be huge. So let's think about certain character builds that have a passive ability that increases other stats. For example, Vengeance on a Demon Hunter increases primary attack damage with the correct legs equipped, right? So then that means my primary attack will also do an additional 2% damage on top of the 6% damage I get from those helms, on top of the additional 2% damage I get from all skills damage increased. This stacks and becomes a 4%, which is huge, right? So all skill damage increased by 2%, I would say is either number 1 or number 2 to get on every single piece of gear on your character. Now, I've seen a lot of comments saying, hey, do these stack, John? As far as I'm aware, we've heard nothing that says these do not stack. Am I going to test these out for family bonuses? Absolutely not, because I don't care. Family bonuses are not worth it. However, I do know attribute list, these stack. I've done the numbers, I've ran the numbers, they stack. So with that being said, skill damage, this one is huge. Think about this. Think about if you get in between 1 to, we'll say, what is that? 6 to 8%. Is that what average to? 6 to 8. So you have 6 slots. Yeah. No, 6 to 12%. Sorry. Of increased skill damage. Think about how much skill damage increase that is for your character. If you go and you get all skill damage increased by 1% 6 times, that's 6%. Or say you get lucky and you get 2% by 6 times, that's 12%. Think how much more damage you're going to be doing. It's insane. This right here is godlike. This right here is the creme de la creme. And I put this at 1 and 2. And the reason why I say that is because I'm a Demon Hunter. So primary attack speed is going to be something that's going to actually be more beneficial to my particular playstyle. Whereas all skill damage increased by 2% is going to be the most beneficial for everyone class-wide. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about, primary attack damage, right? So we've already talked about, okay, all skill damage increased by 2%. Now let's talk about, okay, well, what else can you get? You can get primary attack damage increased by 2 to 4%. We're going to call this number 3. And that's because what is the most popular skill that you use on any build out there? You use your primary attack the most on every single build. It doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't. Yes, I do understand that some classes hit harder than others. However, every skill you have goes on a cooldown. Your primary skill never goes on a cooldown. It's all about how much time, animation time is tied up into it, and then how much damage does it do. So no, regardless of what the skill is, primary attack damage is going to be number 3 in the tier list because it is always going to be something that is going to be reliable. It's going to be non-time gated, only to animation speed, which is faster than any cooldown you're going to get on any ability. And 3, it's going to be the most prominent, that you should always be clicking that button the entire time for your primary attack damage. Hands down, no questions asked. And that can go up to 4%. So think about this. If you are running a cooldown skill, so let's say every single skill has a 6-second cooldown, that leaves you 5 seconds, we'll call it, of primary attack damage. And every primary attack damage takes on average maybe 1 to 2 seconds. That's a lot of damage every single time before you get to proc an additional attack. So keep that in mind. So primary attack damage, I'm going to say, is number 3 on the tier list for Reforged Stones. The fourth one I'm going to put as critical hit damage, and that's also going to be on the wildlife side. Now, for those of you who are watching and you're like, well, John, that doesn't make any sense. Crit damage is massive. It's huge. You're right. It is. Armor penetration, crit damage, those are massive damage dealing stats. However, there's a caveat. You have to crit to get these to work. How many of you are running guaranteed 100% crit builds? Raise your hands. Not a single one of you are raising your hands right now, because it doesn't exist. Most average that I've seen and talked to for people, I think the highest is like 62% right now for crit rate. It's not viable. It's not, number one, because your crit rate needs to be consistent. Yes, you will get 1 to 10 attacks off every 30 seconds for a primary attack, which then allows you to crit. I agree with you. That's a lot of damage. However, boosting your base stat damage, your main damage still, is going to be the most important until you hit that guaranteed 100% crit rate mark. If you're not hitting that mark, you are wasting resources. And that's where critical hit damage comes in, just slightly below primary attack damage because of that. Primary attack damage works as a base damage amount. So that means it's going to get doubled, and then it's going to go into crit rate, or crit damage, multipliers. That's why it ranks higher than straight up crit damage, because you have to crit to make it worth it. Everything else, null and void, no questions asked. It's not that great. Now, one other one that we haven't talked about, that is a underdog, we'll call it, that is huge, is going to be the fact that this Jolt set, right? Jolt, you have a 2% chance when attacked to immobilize your character. Well, who cares about that? It's like a stun. It's a very short stun, but you can. Duration of beneficial effects increases by up to 3%. So what happens if you get this on all 6 of your items? That is 18% increased beneficial effects. Okay, let's just show for an example. I'm a demon hunter. One of the effects I have is vengeance. I currently have my vengeance set up to where it only has a proc from my chest. I've actually disabled it where I don't get a cooldown reduction from hunger anymore, from my awakened gem that used to be on my helm. I've completely changed this, right? So my vengeance is longer than what it used to be. It's a 15-second cooldown, and it's going to be active up until, drumroll, 8 seconds. So I have an 8 seconds all-around cooldown for this skill. What happens if I were to increase that by 18%? So if I say 8 seconds here, right? So let's just say 8 times 0.18, 1.4 seconds. So we'll say it takes it to roughly a 6 seconds. Think about that, guys. Like, that's huge. That's getting boosted off of a legendary piece of gear. Okay. So what happens if I were to swap this main gem to the helm with my resonance? That would reduce, and that would turn my vengeance to a 12-second cooldown, or 12 seconds cooldown, and then still the 8 seconds, so it leaves a 4-second cooldown, plus the beneficial effect. So you're looking at what? An additional 1.5%, 2%. Like, you almost have 100% uptime for vengeance with this. So this isn't something to be slept on. But however, If you were to try to get the Jolt family set items, you would be wasting your time. You would 100% be wasting your time. It would not be worth it to get the Jolt set items by any means. Now, last but not least, let's go ahead and let's talk about an honorable mention. This is for people who maybe you are PvP coordinated, and that if that's the case, that's fine. I myself am not. But let's talk about, you can get slow movement and attack, right? So primary attacks have a 3 to 6% chance to reduce enemy attack and movement speeds by 6%. This is pretty good. Obviously, if you get this up to 6 times, that is 6 times 6, which is 36% chance to reduce enemy attack and movement speeds. That is huge. I've been inflicted by this myself when playing Battlegrounds. It is so toxic and annoying. It makes a big difference. However, this is only for people who are going to be very PvP oriented. If you're not PvP oriented, this does not do as much good or as much benefit as it could do by grabbing the other stats out there, which in my opinion are skill damage, primary attack damage, and overall damage in general, right? So those are going to be the most effective in my personal opinion. However, the slow is going to be honorable mention, and this is going to be from the trimmer set. So note this when you are rolling. If you get these, it's okay. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's talk about this last piece of gear. I just upgraded this one here. I do understand that I'm below on everything else. I apologize. I'm not as active of a grinder as some of you are. Now, but I have 40 stones. I have damage to players increased by 0.5%. This is null and void for me. This is dumb. I don't need it. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So one more gets me nothing. Let's go 2 more. Primary attacks. No, nothing. So we're 2 in. We're 3 in. We're 4 in. Life regen 2% is pretty good, but let's go for like an attack damage. 5 in. Nothing. 6. Nothing. 7. Nothing. 8. Nothing worth value on my character. 9. Nothing. 10. Nothing. 11. Nothing, because it reduced enemy attack. We don't care. 12. Nothing. 13. Nothing. 14. Nothing. 15. Nothing. What I'm showing you guys is I've already rerolled 15 times and I've got no skills that are within my tier list that are worth it. 16. Nothing. Stun resistance. Nothing. I'm not PvP content. Elites. Nothing. 13. Nothing. That's absolutely nothing. I don't care about PvP. No, I don't heal. That's useless. Maximum life increase, not terrible, but not on my tier list. So what is this? 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. Pretty bad so far. 31. 32. 33. I'm literally doing this to show you. 34. Notice I haven't got an attack speed, a primary speed, or primary attack damage. I've got nothing. What is this? 35? 36? 37? 38? 39? 40? 41? 42? 43, and I'm out. Keep that in mind, guys. I tried to make one skill within my top tier list. It didn't happen. Imagine if you were to try to waste all of those stones to hit a family bonus. Think about what resources you would waste and how much time it would take you to get these correct stats that you think you need. I definitely highly recommend that everyone takes, for example, what I've told you, where all skill damage, crit hit damage, primary attack, and attack speed are massive. Anything else is helpful. Duration of beneficial effects is definitely notable, and so is slow movement speed and attack is also notable when reforging stones. Keep this in mind. I wanted to do this to show you exactly what you get from these. Hopefully this helps you understand how much is involved in reforged stones and what you need to actually be trying to get and how much resources it does take. Because like I said, this is my second out of 6. I still have another 4 to go. You just saw how many this just cost me. It was over 43 stones to not get a single skill that was worth it. So this means that it's going to probably cost me, we'll say 60, 70 times another 4. Another additional 280, 300 stones to get my gear proper. Keep that in mind when you're using reforged stones. Do not waste them. Hopefully this helps you with a correct tier list for season 5 of Diablo Immortal. Have a good rest of your day. Can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Peace.